number 98. Mukto yatha sthitistwasthaha krita kartavya nirvritaha sama sarvatra vaitrishnyat nasmaratya kritam kritam. Muktaha, as a free being. Freedom does not really is not a quality of thinking. Thinking may be useful for discovering freedom. Freedom is the nature of one's being. Freedom is not the quality of thought. Freedom is not the quality of choice. Freedom is not an attribute of anything in the creation. We use the word free as an attribute of action. Free action, free thinking, free lifestyle, etc. Their freedom means they mean only the freedom of choice. But even freedom of choice is not freedom. Freedom is the nature of the being. To be free from struggle. That is freedom. Freedom from kartrutvam is freedom. Therefore, muktaha means it can only refer to the nature of the self, not the nature of an individual. Even after knowing the truth, he is there as thinking. He thinks. He knows the thinking is not an attribute of his being. His own thinking is not an attribute of his thinking. He knows. And yet he is thinking. But when we look at a person, we include into the person the thinking also. And therefore, muktaha means the Atma, the self is free by nature. Yatha sthiti swasthaha. In every situation, it is itself. It can be also interpreted, Jnani is the same in all situations, etc. Jnani as an individual cannot be. He may be different. In different situations, he may look different. But looking different does not bother the nature of the truth. Therefore, yathasthiti swastaha means the nature of the truth is the same in all situations. The being is the same. That is what is the topic for reflection. When you think of the truth, it's not qualified by any individuality. Even your own individuality. Your being is not qualified by your individuality. Your being is not qualified by your thinking. Yathasthiti swasthaha. Therefore, read all these things as the nature of the truth. Because however big a jnani is, as long as embodiment is there, at least he looks different in different situations. He can look elated also. He can look also depressed. He may know all his elations, his depressions, and his emotions do not qualify the nature of the truth. He may know. But still, when we look at a person, we include the thinking as the quality of himself. Why should I look at a jnani self? sans is thinking. Why should I not think of my being sans my thinking? That is understanding. Why should I think of somebody's being, Rama's being or Krishna's being or Christ's being or Shankaracharya's being, anybody's being? The being is oneself. You don't enter Rama in sleep. You don't enter Krishna in sleep. You don't enter Sai Baba in sleep. ऐसा कुछ नहीं है. You enter yourself. The way one goes back to one's own being. One's thinking resolves in oneself. When one's thinking resolves in oneself, it is described as one goes back to oneself. But in actuality, you don't go back or go forward. You remain as you are. But the thinking resolves. Thinking can manifest, thinking can become unmanifest. One thinking can be replaced by another thinking. The waking thinking can be replaced by dream thinking. The waking perception can be replaced by dream perception. And both perceptions can become unmanifest, called the deep sleep state. When the embodiment becomes manifest, when the perception becomes manifest, it is called life. And when it becomes unmanifest, we call it as death. But there is no such a thing, it becomes non-existent. No. The wave can never become non-existent. The wave, in its actual identity, is water. It is there in my thinking that it is a wave. I have to discover what I see as, what I call a wave is water. There is no form, there is only substance. It is a substance that looks like a form. It is the rope that looks like a snake. That is seen as a snake. These expressions doesn't matter. Therefore, yatha sthiti swastaha. Swastaha means it is rooted in itself, present in itself, meaning to be present in oneself is a very peculiar phrase. It can trigger imaginations. To be rooted in oneself, to be present in oneself, to be with oneself. It is all a wrong phrases. It all means, you can use all these phrases, but what they imply is, it remains, see, even when you see it as snake, it remains rope. That is called swastaha. If you see it as garland, it remains rope. That is swastaha. Even if you see it as a water line, it remains a rope. That is called swastaha. If I take myself to be limited, I continue to be unlimited. I don't understand. That's a different matter. I may not register what I am. The Shruti only says what you are. But I don't understand. You may not understand, but my vision, the Shastra says, is that you are unlimited, non-dual being. And therefore, let all your effort be to recognize yourself. To look at yourself, your comprehensiveness rather than confinement. You have no consciousness cannot be confined. If consciousness is felt confined, that is called avidya. That is called avidya. Even comprehensiveness is only presupposing the sense of confinement. The Shruti comes and says, sir, your existence is not confined, but your existence is comprehensive. So these ideas of comprehensiveness, pervasiveness, they are meant to correct the error that I am confined, that I am localized, etc., etc. My existence is localized, etc. All these expressions that are given by the Shastra are corrective of human thinking. What the Shastra says doesn't touch the truth. It only corrects human thinking. It educates human thinking. It's a corrective education. Like when you go to school, a scientist cannot change the laws. He can convey them to you. Your understanding, you come to understand the laws. You don't change the laws. No amount of science can affect the laws, the creation. They remain as they are. And what is education coming to know? So the empirical education is coming to know the physics, the physical laws, what is available in the creation, whereas Vedanta conveys what you are. And therefore it is, what it says doesn't change the nature of the self. That it remains the same is what is called yatha sthiti swastha. That is what I wanted to convey. Yatha sthiti swastha means you don't have to think and literally that it is rooted in itself, come what may, etc., etc. It's not that. It is or remains in itself, it is with itself, a jnani always is with himself. These are all expressions coined by the pop Vedantis in the society. Not Vedantis, I am telling you. They're all pop, you understand pop Vedantis? Pop Vedantis, if you don't know, I'll tell you, all fake Vedantis. Without any sampradayam, without any tradition. It's not true. A fact remains as it is in all situations. Whatever I may think about a fact, that is called a situation. Whatever I think of a fact, the fact remains the same. No matter what it is thought. How it is thought, that is called situation. In every situation, in every view, the fact remains the same. If I say the law of gravitation is there, it remains the same. If I say it's not there, also it is there. If you say the objects are pushed by something above, then also what is the law of gravitation? It remains the same. A fact is a fact untouched by human view. This is the principle, Ji. This is the very crux of Vedanta. A fact remains the same no matter how it is viewed. Having said that, the Shruti says, thou art, you view yourself as the form, but in fact you are not the form. You are only a conscious being. Look at yourself very closely. If you can't follow, it doesn't mean you are different. If you can't understand, it doesn't mean you are different. If I can't understand the law of gravitation, it does not mean it's different. My ignorance of a fact doesn't change the fact. My wrong views do not change the fact. My inability to understand a fact also does not make it non-existent. And therefore, yathasthiti swastha means no matter what you view of yourself, how you view yourself, in fact you are what you are, that is, you are non-dual being. This is all a perception within that non-dual being. Within the non-dual being, this is all a perception. Therefore, the non-dual being is comprehensive of the entire perception as itself. That is the teaching. From its own point of view, it alone is. That it is comprehensive is teaching. That it alone is its nature, Swarupa. That it is comprehensive is the teaching. That it is the source is the teaching. That it alone is its nature. And the Shruti comes and says, sir, no matter how you view yourself, you are comprehensive of everything and therefore you are non-dual. Krita kartavya nirvritaha. Krita means done. Kartavya means all that is to be done. Krita kartavya means the truth is something that has done all that is to be done, means it has nothing to do. That is what it means. But this phrase has been used here by the Acharya in the sense of a jnani. A jnani is one who has done all that is to be done. Krita kartavya means it should be, truth has to be understood as there is nothing. The need is not to do what is to be done. The need is to discover that I have nothing to do. There is nothing to achieve. There is nothing to achieve. I don't have to do. Because I am not a karta. Krita kartavya, nirvritaha. And he is, nirvritaha means mukta, is peaceful. The truth is free from any need to do. And if you interpret it in the sense of a jnani, it means he has done all that is to be done. You take it whatever you want. Actually, I take it is the nature of the truth, because Shruti does not describe a jnani. Shruti describes only the nature of the truth. A jnani is an individual. At least when you think of a jnani, you think of him also as an individual. When Bhagavan is thought of an individual, what to talk of a jnani ji? We always associate individuality with the truth. Samaha sarvatra. He is samaha. He is the same in all situations, at all times, and in all places. This doesn't apply to an individual, because an individual does change from place to place, from situation to situation, from time to time. Sama sarvatra is the description of the nature of the reality, the truth. It is the truth that is the same. If I cry also, even if I am crying, if I think I am unhappy, then also by nature I continue to be peaceful. May not have been understood by me, but it remains peaceful. The peaceful nature of the self is not affected by. The peaceful nature of the self is not affected by my crying. How my thinking, whether good thinking, bad thinking, doesn't affect the nature of the self. In that sense, we have to say sama sarvatra is the nature of the truth. Vaitrishnyat, and the truth has no desire. Truth is, why it is free from desire? Because it is full Freedom from desire is the nature of the truth, please. As an individual, he may try to renounce a desire. Renouncing a desire, even if you renounce, you will pick it up again. Only the truth is free from desire. As an individual, he can never be free from desire. Remaining as an individual, you can't be free from desire. Therefore, in order to be free from desire, I have to falsify my individuality, embodiment. Therefore, ultimately it implies it is the nature of the truth to be free from desire. Vaitrishnyath. Na smarati akritam. The truth doesn't have to remember what was done. The truth doesn't remember also kritam, what is done. It does not. Memory is not a part of the truth, please. As an individual, I live in memory. As an individual, I remember the objects. Whereas the self doesn't have to remember. Self is by nature the truth of the objects. It doesn't have to remember the objects. Na smarati akritam kritam. The next verse. And therefore, muktaha, the nature of the self is free. It is free. It remains the same in all situations. It has nothing to do. It has nothing to achieve because it is already full. Like the space doesn't have any greed for a couple of inches more. The infinite doesn't want to have any growth. It has nothing more to achieve. The unlimited has nothing more to grow, expand. Nothing can be deleted from it, nothing can be added to it. Aheyam anupadeyam. Sama sarvatra, it is the same in all situations. And it is free from the desire. As an individual, remaining as an individual, you may control a desire. It will flare up again. An individual as an individual can never be free from desire. Please understand. An individual as an individual can never be free from desire. He may have control over desire. He may lessen desire. But it will come back again. A desire may go into unmanifest state. But you can't be free. Once you use the word freedom, it is the nature of the truth. An individual as an individual can never be free from desire. That's not possible. Embodiment doesn't allow you to be free from desire. Na smarati akritam kritam. The truth is not qualified by any memory. The truth doesn't have to remember. Therefore, the same truth, when it takes the next embodiment, it doesn't have to remember the previous embodiment. Because the truth is. The silence doesn't remember the sound. The silence is. To be is its nature, please. Not to remember, not to think. To think is not its nature. To remember is not its nature. To objectify is not its nature. To do something is not its nature. To be is its nature. And to be is not thinking. To be, thinking is done, being is always there. To be. It is very wrong to say the being is done. The being is not done. You can only do the thinking. Existence is choicelessly there. You can do the sound, You can't do the silence. I repeat it so much, Ji. This particular example I give, repeat again and again. There is nothing else to talk. If you say, Swamiji, why don't you talk something else? What else? Tell me. What else? There is nothing to be talked about beyond fullness. Therefore, you can't do your existence. You can do thinking of various kinds. You can entertain a view. You can't entertain your existence. Your existence is silence. Sama sarvatra vaitrishnyaat na smarati akritam kritam. The next verse, ji. Na priyate vandyamanaha nindyamano na kupyati naivo dvijati marane jivane nabhinandati. Again he has written it in the sense of a jnani. Na priyate. It's not pleased. Vandyamanaha. When you praise the nature of the truth doesn't become pleased. Whereas a jnani can be pleased, yes. As an individual, he can be pleased. As long as embodiment is there, you may understand that your being pleased may not qualify the nature of the truth. That is a different matter. But you are pleased. And therefore, na priyate vandyamanaha should mean only it is the truth that if you say the truth is there, it's not pleased. If you are a Nastika, it doesn't become displeased with you. Truth, if it doesn't become annoyed with you, if you say I don't believe in the truth. If you say I believe in the truth is not going to be pleased. If you say it is a snake, the rope is not going to be displeased or anything. A fact remains unreactive. Reaction also is done, it's a thinking, ji. And the truth being free from thinking, it is also free from reaction. As an individual, he is susceptible to reaction. Having reacted, he may understand this reaction doesn't qualify the truth. That is a different matter. But as an individual, reaction can be there. Na priyate vandyamana. Maybe his reactions may be less, etc. Plus, he may understand the reactions are not the adjective of the truth, which a layman doesn't understand. Na priyate vandyamanaha nindyamano na kupyati. And when you criticize the truth doesn't become angry, it doesn't become annoyed. But supposing you criticize a jnani, he can become annoyed, at least. Silently he can become annoyed. And that annoyance, he may understand that my annoyance doesn't qualify the truth. But he does get annoyed because embodiment, individuality. If there is a apparent individuality, I say there is an apparent reaction also. He understands my embodiment is apparent. Apparent means as though. My reactions also are as though. But they are there. But in the case of the truth, it is free. Truth is free from any reaction. You praise the truth, it doesn't become pleased. If you run down the truth, it doesn't become displeased. Naiva udvijati, the truth is not elated. As an individual, one gets elated. Naiva udvijati, the truth is not udvijati means, it doesn't become very disturbed. Marane, in the truth doesn't have the disturbance, fear of death. It doesn't have the fear of death. Naiva udvijati marane, jivane nabhinandati. The truth doesn't have the desire, the attraction to be alive, because it is free from both life and death. As an individual, definitely, even if he is a Brahmajnani, there is apparent fear of death and an apparent love for living. Why? Because the embodiment also is apparent. In the real embodiment, there are real thinkings. In the apparent embodiment, there are apparent thinkings, whereas the truth is free from both the real and the apparent. The last verse, ji. Nadhavati janakirnam naranyam upashantadhi yatha tatha yatra tatra samayeva avatishthate. Na dhavati, he doesn't run janakarna, a jnani doesn't run towards the crowds. First let me interpret it in the sense of a jnani. A jnani, a reflective person, doesn't run towards the crowds. Nor does he run towards the forest, na aranyam. Why? Because the truth is neither in the forest, nor in the society, nor in any situation. When the truth is one's own being, you don't have to look for any particular place or time or situation. These are all introduced, is samay ye karna chahiye, us samay wo karna chahiye. These are all introduced by different people and for their own self-importance. But otherwise, self-reflection is not governed by any desha, kala, avastha. When it comes to the adrishtam, etc., where there is no reasoning and there is only a mere belief, if I do something which is only a matter of belief, then I am controlled by other beliefs. If I undertake a ritual which is just a matter of belief, then there are so many other beliefs are put into me. It has to be done like this, only at this time, etc., etc. And we say it is all because of, that is what Veda says. But anyway, whether Veda brings about other beliefs or other society brings others' beliefs, but one belief brings other beliefs. But what the topic of Vedanta, has nothing to do with any belief. Therefore, Vedantic topic doesn't bring any superstitions or beliefs. The topic of Vedanta brings only, it doesn't bring anything, it only makes you understand what it is. And therefore, it has to be done only at this time is a belief. It has to be done only in this situation is a belief. It has to be done only in this place is a belief. But when it comes to understanding oneself, you don't consider time, place, or situation. For studying Vedanta, for right understanding, time is not a condition. Place is not a condition. Avastha is not a condition. And therefore, Bhagavan says here, a jnani doesn't run towards the crowds, and a jnani doesn't run towards the forest. He doesn't run towards the solitude. He doesn't run towards the society. In fact, he doesn't run. Why he doesn't run? Because to know the truth, you don't have to run anywhere. You don't have to do anything. Even though we say there are certain things which are related, which facilitate it, like Vairagyam is a situation which facilitates understanding. That is, if you are mentally disturbed, then you look for conditions, etc. But a jnani who is understanding or who has understood, understands that the truth is himself. And a jnani can understand that much, and even a right jignasu, a thinking jignasu also can understand, if the truth is myself to be understood, I don't have to go to any place. Therefore, he doesn't run towards the crowds. He doesn't run towards the solitude. Solitude you may go to, but it is not an indispensable precondition. Understand? It is not a choiceless precondition. Like in order to see a form, pramana is a choiceless precondition. Similarly, going to a solitude is not a choiceless precondition. It may be useful, but it is not choiceless. It's not indispensable. Even Vairagyam, you don't have to gain it. If you are a serious student, Vairagyam is there, ji. It is not a condition, it is naturally there with you. When you are dedicated for self-knowledge, the Vairagyam is already there. You don't have to gain it. Therefore, in the case of Vedanta, nothing is a precondition except, in fact, in order to accept, you want to see yourself. If there is jignyasa, that is the only precondition for jnanam. Jignyasa leads to jnanam. We can't say solitude leads to jnanam, or crowds lead to jnanam, or Vairagyam leads to jnanam, or Shamadhamadi lead to jnanam. Nothing leads to jnanam. What choicelessly leads to jnanam is jignyasa, the right jignyasa. Jignyasa done properly. The love to know, right thinking leads to right knowledge. Right vichara leads to right knowledge. And right vichara and right jignyasa all mean the same thing. If there is no right vichara, if you sit in a cave, a mountain cave, and do wrong vichara, it is not going to give any right knowledge. If you sit at home and do the right vichara, you get the right knowledge. Therefore, the precondition, the indispensable precondition for right knowledge is right vichara. Na dhavad janakirnam, na aranyam upashantadihi. Upashantadihi means a person who is peaceful. Yatha tatha yatra tatra. Jaise yatha tatha yatra tatra. In every situation, in whatever situation, and in whatever place, and in whatever time. Samayeva avatishtate, he remains composed. In all yathat tatha yatra tatra. This is an expression, means at all places, in all situations, and at all times. Places, times and situations. Samaha eva avatishtate. He remains well composed. This is in the sense of a jnani. But now I am going to tell in the sense of the self. Na dhavati. The truth is already the truth of the crowds. It doesn't have to reach the crowds. It is comprehensive of all the jivas. It doesn't have to reach. The water doesn't have to reach the wave. The water doesn't have to reach the bubble. That should be the reflection. Your being doesn't have to reach any form. Your being doesn't have to reach any of your thoughts. Your being doesn't have to reach waking or dream or sleep, any state. It doesn't have to reach. Consciousness doesn't have to reach any material object, because everything is already in consciousness, made of consciousness. And in that sense, it is the nature of the truth. Na dhavati janakirna. Akirna means jana samuham. The crowds, the truth doesn't have to reach them, because all their minds are already rooted in the truth. The truth is already comprehensive of all their forms and minds. Na aranyam. And it doesn't have to run to the forest, because the forest also is already rooted in the self. The space doesn't have to run to the moon. The space doesn't have to run to the sun. The space doesn't have to run to the earth, because all of them are already space. A very serious matter, ji. It's a very, very serious matter. Somehow or other, it doesn't strike a person that what is being said is very serious. He thinks very lightly of this topic, because Vedanta, when you become too familiar with the topic without understanding, then you take it lightly, ji. Like a farmer takes rice very lightly because he produces it. Abundance always makes you take lightly. But what is being said is very serious. The truth is already comprehensive of every place. It is comprehensive of every moment of time. It is comprehensive of every situation. So it doesn't have to reach out to any place or time or situation. And that truth thou art. That's a very serious matter. That truth thou art. Therefore I have to look at myself in that light. Yatha tathat yatra tatra. And therefore the truth doesn't run to the crowds, doesn't run to the forest. And it remains in all times, at all times, in all places, in all conditions. Samayeva vatishtate, it remains the same. Samaha means full. It remains oneness. It remains one. When the wave is short or big, in all the situations, water remains water. The wave becomes tall, that is another situation, another time, another place. If a wave travels to another place, there also the water remains The same. It is comprehensive of the wave at all times, in all places and conditions. Therefore, the truth. Don't think of a jnani. You don't have to reflect upon the jnani as the one who doesn't run towards the society, who doesn't run towards the forest, etc. This is not the description. I told you, Shruti is not interested in talking about a jnani. Jnani is not the topic, nor ajnani is the topic. Truth is the topic. That the Jivatma is indeed Paramatma is the topic. And let every verse of Ashtavakraji be understood in the sense of that being. Rather than, because if you think of a jnani, if a person is in the society, then he will say, oh, a jnani is one who doesn't run to the aranyam, who doesn't run to the society, theek hai. But if he stays at home, then you say, he is a jnani. If he is in the society, he is not a jnani. If he is in the solitude, he is not a jnani. ये सब हम समझते हैं जी. Human beings imagine all kinds of things. Therefore, let us interpret this verse in the sense of the nature of the truth. The truth doesn't try to reach out to the society. It doesn't try to reach out the forest. Why? That is the matter for reflection. Because it is all comprehensive. The unlimited doesn't move to or move away. It is not, it has no kartritvam. And therefore, in every situation, it remains as it is. This is the last verse. And then there is 19th chapter. This 19th chapter, let us read one verse. Tattva vijnana sandamsham adaya hridayodarat nana vidha paramarsham shalyodhara krito maya. This we will see in the next class. Om Purnamadaha Purnamidam Purnat Purnamudachyate Purnasya Purnamadaya Purnameva Vasishyate. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Thank you, Ji.